Now, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have decided to step out of the limelight. The couple will no longer produce Netflix documentaries or write tell-all books about their time in the royal family.
Joining us live is royal commentator Duncan Larcombe. Welcome, Duncan. So Harry and Meghan have opted to say they've got nothing more to say. Do you believe that this is the last we've heard of them, or is this another bid to get a headline? Because they do seem to be rather addicted to being in the news, don't they?
Look, hi, Kevin. And to be honest with you, if I was advising them, heaven forbid they should ever ask for my advice, I think I would say to them, look, stop. Every time they launch a truth bomb, do a Netflix documentary, or of course, in Harry's case, write the book, their popularity status in the UK plummets. It's not done them well. So I think if this is finally a line in the sand, if you like, then thank goodness for that. Maybe from now on they can start rebuilding some of the reputational loss that they've suffered since they left the UK.
Well, that seems to be potentially their idea. So it's a source that told a newspaper that they said the memoir period was their era of visibility. So I think maybe that's just finished. And they hope this year will be the year of reconciliation. If they were focused on reconciliation, perhaps some of the decisions they'd already made this year would have looked a little bit different.
Yeah. And reconciliation with what?
We joke. I mean, I think there is a serious point here. The reality is, by speaking out, doing Oprah, doing everything that they've done, we know the conversations that they've had publicly. But by stopping that now, at least then give it a period of time, and there might be some sort of hope of a reconciliation with William in particular and King Charles as well. Because frankly, at the moment, that neither of the above can speak to Harry and Meghan without fear of feeding their next Netflix documentary or, heaven forbid, a follow-up book. That trust has been broken. So, it's got to start somewhere. Harry said the ball is in their court. It's not. It's in his court. And maybe this is a sign that Harry's finally realised that.
The cynic in me feels that when they say there'll be no more Netflix documentaries, no more tell-all books, it's that Netflix aren't interested in any more of their documentaries, and publishers probably feel, well, Harry said about all he can say. So is this a way of kind of putting a gloss on a situation which isn't quite in their control?
Well, to be honest, you might be right, but in a way, I sort of hope not, because there's got to be a way going forward. We've seen the rise of William and Kate as right there, this jewel in the crown of the royal work that happens. And it's an issue of who can coexist. Can they coexist with them? Well, they can't if they keep throwing stones at his brother. But Harry and Meghan could potentially, I think, carry out worthy works, do charity things, make a life for themselves in California without having to criticize and throw truth bombs over the Atlantic every time they open their mouths. So in a way, perhaps this is a sort of natural progression where, that I don't want to call it a truce, but I don't really know what other word to use. It's sort of, can they work? Can they earn money? Can they sustain themselves, but without having to continually pull back that curtain and expose some of the truths behind the family that Harry fled from? Yeah,
the word they've used is reconciliation. Give us an idea of what used to be sort of, deemed the Fab Four. What is the status of the relationship right now? Are they even on speaking terms?
Well, I think that the honest answer to that is that we don't know. I mean, we know that relations are bad and have been bad now for some time. But, if there's any hope for reconciliation, if there's any hope going forward, then this is the sort of announcement that would probably be welcomed behind doors at the palace. They think, well, okay, well, then, thank goodness for that. They're not going to keep berating us every time they open their mouths. But my goodness me, there's a long way to go, I think, before we could call it a reconciliation or moving forward where Harry and Meghan can be brought back into the fold.
As I was saying earlier, Duncan, only Harry and Meghan could say, special announcement, we'd like to say we've got nothing to say. It is their relentless pursuit of publicity over the last couple of turbulent years that I think has landed them in a lot of trouble in terms of what the people think of them, what the people think of them here, what the people in America think of them, where we know their popularity is plummeting. Over here, it's been rock bottom for a long time. Do you think that as a couple, they have been bruised by the reaction to everything they've done in the last 2 or 3 years? You know, starting, of course, with Megxit, followed swiftly by the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, the books. I mean, they've all, for us journalists, they've been brilliant events, but they have not made this couple very popular. Have they been bruised by the reaction to all of this?
Well, they have been bruised, and they'd have to be mad to not accept that and understand that. I mean, Harry, I started covering Harry when I think he was about 19 years old. And every time he did something wrong, whether it was wear a Nazi outfit, go to a strip club, turn stripper himself, every time he did those things, the public loved him more and more because he was the prince that could do no wrong in the public's eyes. But that ship has sailed. And they would be mad if they didn't acknowledge and understand now that their ratings... I mean, if it wasn't for Prince Andrew, the two of them would be right at the very bottom of all the popularity polls of the Royals. And, of course, Harry used to be second only to the Queen. So if the penny has finally dropped, it's taken a while. But, if they're not taking British people with them, if they're not taking the American audience with them, then they have to change tact. And maybe this is a start of that. Maybe this is a sign, of the start of that happening.
Talking about audiences, Sarah Ferguson has launched a new podcast that she says promises to spill the tea on royal life. So maybe we'll get information from her. It's the Duchess of York and her co-host Sarah Thompson who've got these weekly episodes of a tea talk. Should we just have a brief listen?
I'm here to spread the word. And I think this is why this podcast with you, Sarah, being so incredibly a person that I admire in all the value systems, friendship, loyalty, kindness, business, and savvy and sexy and cool and saucy and all the other S's that go with Sarah. But it's just a delight and thank you.
So maybe, Duncan, the baton of people who are going to be disclosing information changes hands.
Yeah, and you do wonder what the content of Sarah Ferguson's podcasts are going to be. I mean, I'd like to know, for example, how was her relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, the paedophile that nearly destroyed her ex-husband? I mean, there are questions about that, debts, financial problems in the past, and let's not even go as far back as toe-sucking photographs. So I think we're probably going to sit back and wonder whether or not Sarah Ferguson's going to be able to speak about those things or just stick to the fluff and the puff. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, the fluff and the puff, I bet.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well,
cheers, Duncan.
Duncan, thank you so much for your time, royal commentator, talking us through at the very latest. Do you believe it, Kev?
That she's...
Harry and Meghan.
No, they'll never
Changing
shut
era.
up. They'll never shut up.